Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to share with you yet again my loot filter for Path of Exile 2 Early Access Endgame. This time around I want to share it with you on Filterblade. So Filterblade is a website made from Neversink and his team, which basically lets you customize your loot filter. And this is not like some weird ad that I want to promote something. It's just like we used Filterblades for so many years if you're new to Path of Exile, and this is basically the go-to way of creating your own loot filters where you have like a shit ton of customized options, make certain role, and just drag and drop items based on filter, on the tiers and whatever you want to see, and so on and so forth. And basically, in the start of Early Access, I made my entire loot filter here in a text file, but now we have Filterblade up and running for Path of Exile 2, so now we can use this one instead. And the great benefit here is this is basically connected to your account, or to my account in that case. So if you go to my profile, the link is down in the description, and I think there is a badge somewhere here or somewhere in the bottom side where you have like, or can check out my public filters, and these are the ones that I'm using here. They're mostly Path of Exile 1 filters, but here on the bottom side you have the Filterblade for Path of Exile 2 over here. And all you need to do is click the follow button. There's like 117 followers already. So if you click the follow button and then go into Path of Exile and just hit here under game options, the reload button, you're gonna see here this blue tag Filterblade. And the good thing here is, previously, you kind of had to go to my Discord and wait a second, go over here to the loot filter and then download it, and every time I made a change I had to re-upload it and yada yada yada. But this time around, every time I make a change, you're gonna have it instantly. As soon as you log in, or if you just click the reload button, it will naturally load it from the Filterblade website. So if I do some changes overnight and you're logging in tomorrow, you already have the updated version as soon as I click the save and upload button, basically, which makes it a lot easier. I have done some changes, and I want to make this clear. This is a loot filter for Endgame. Endgame is, for me, T15, T16 mapping, breach mapping, here daily mapping, the way I farm my maps, for example, right? This is not about campaign, this is not about early T1, Tier 2 mapping, this is an Endgame filter. That means I have hidden a bunch of rare items that I think are completely pointless to pick up. I've disabled a bunch of like low currency items where I would say, why would you ever pick up like a freaking transmute shard or anything like that? If you want to make big currency, it is mandatory to have a good loot filter. Doesn't necessarily mean that my loot filter is insanely good, but this is just the way I like to play, how I set it up. About the coloring, you can just make your own filter or just duplicate my filter and make your own adjustments if you say, hey, I really like the coloring and the stuff that you have done here. But before we're gonna go over all the settings here where I show, and I've made like 1,879 changes already to this filter, I think we're just gonna pop in a map so you see how all the coloring looks like, and then we're gonna go over each category, and then I want to give you guys an understanding on why do I show things, why do I hide the items that I'm hiding, and so on and so forth. So I would say let's just pop in here an Oasis map, put in a decent map, and just run it, and you can see how that looks like. I want to say though, it might look a little bit cluttered here just because, I run a lot of rarity and quantity. Let's see what this is. This is like 232 quant, 272 rarity map in Delirium, so basically there should be a lot of loot, or not if the filter is doing it a proper job, right? But as you see from the coloring perspective, I kept it as close as possible to my filter from Path of Exile 1. This is a filter that I've used for many years, and like min-max basically. But just to give you a rough understanding on how stuff is looking like. One thing I want to make sure clear here, there is no tier filtering yet, okay? So I have enabled all the expert bases. Some of them are advanced, but these are like the top tier or top 2 tiers of the base type. For example, here an energy shield, and so on and so forth. Unique items are colored now green because they were too similar to the currency kind of style, because I really like it to have it in this orange style. So no uniques are currently disabled, mainly because there is no PoE Ninja yet, and Filterblade usually checks for prices and stuff like that from the information from the PO ninjas, so then we can make tierings where we can auto sort, okay, hide every unique item that is worth less than 5 exalts as an example, right? And later on, hopefully, we're gonna also have the tier filtering, where I can basically just disable everything that is lower than T4 or Tier 5, basically, because this is what I'm doing, right? I know there's a bunch of rare items dropping, but as I said, there is no filtering for those yet, so if it's T4 or T5, I'm usually picking it up, and if not, then I just leave it on the floor. But yeah, based on the other filtering, I've disabled a bunch of like useless currency items in my opinion, for example, transmutes, augments, and stuff like that, because, you know, if you can buy, I don't know, like 200 augments for one single exalt, and I'm dropping like 20-30 exalts per map, then what do I need to pick up this, like, in my opinion, useless currency? It's not useless in that case, I'm using a lot of augments and transmutes, but overall, you know, for me, a loot filter should be the way that you pick up every single item that it kind of shows you. Because if it doesn't show it, then why pick it up, right? And this is also the reason why I only have 3 different tiers of currency right now, or like other things. I used to have 4 or 5 different tiers, but the main aspect was, why make loot, for example, a lot smaller, because it's less relevant to pick up, but in the end of the day, if the loot filter shows us, you pick it up. That's it, right? So we have like the S tier category, which means the Tink Sounds, the Divine Orb, the Mirror, the Perfect Jeweler Orb, and stuff like that. Then we have the A tier, which is maybe like a Gem Cutter Prison, maybe a Greater Jeweler Orb, something that is worth a couple of exalts. And then we have the B tier, which is all the remaining stuff, whether it's Exalted Orbs, Val Orbs, and stuff like that, in this kind of like orange style. But I think just for the sake of showcasing the filter, this was already kind of enough. I'm actually gonna let me quickly pick up a couple of Divine Orbs so you see how that looks in-game as well. I have pretty much opted in a lot of things when it comes to like the mini-map icons, the sound the items make, the different sizes of the text filtering, because I thought in the standard version, every text on the loot filter, the base default one, is so insanely big, and I just want to get away from it. So I think like the Divine Orb is still like one of the biggest kind of like text that has the biggest icon, and so on and so forth. But so you kind of get an understanding on what stuff is looking like. Good. I would say we just, before I pick up or finish this map, I don't want to waste too much time here, let's go over the different settings here and how you can like adjust everything based on the Filterblade over here. So currency, as I said, these are like my 3 tiers. I used to have, if I put in one item over here, this was like my 4th tier, which doesn't have a minimap icon, it doesn't have a sound, it just is there, right? But I usually still pick it up, but you know, like, if you pick it up anyways, then just make 3 tiers, which is like S tier, A tier, and B tier, and that's about it, which has like alchemy orbs, bubbles, artificious orbs, and so on and so forth. Same here for special currency. I picked the color red. This is like catalysts, like those kind of like fragments, like other currency things, like fragments are purple. Good. Then we have like here it says campaign overview, but I just left it in. But as I want to say this again, this is not a loot filter for the early campaign. Then we have, like, as I just said, red is basically any kind of like off meta, which is the same like the S tier, the A tier, and the B tier, same as the currency mods. And this is like a, what do you say, a kind of like system that I have through all of this like kind of like filters. Then we have like yellow styles for omens, which is not too mandatory, just because I wanted to go away from the colored yellow, because rare items are relevant in Path of Exile 2, not like in Path of Exile 1, where I just have all the rare items hidden. But that's why it kind of looks like a bit weird when there is rare items yellow and like currency items kind of like a yellow style, even though they look different. But, you know, it was like just to make it like more obvious. Essences in the blue style, so there is the very big essences going for like 70, 80 exalts or something like that, and the A tier and B tier as per usual. When it comes to unique items, I picked the color green just because there was nothing else left. I know green is usually like kind of like set item or something like that, and I had them kind of a brownish style, but since my currency is kind of like this brownish style, I tried to make it a little bit different, but it was kind of like the same issue that I had with rare items and yellowish off-meta currency, or off-currency, right? So that's why I said, you know what colors are missing in my loot filter? Green. So that's why we're gonna make the uniques green in the different tierings as well, S tier, A tier, and B tier. Then we have chancing items with an icon on the map, as well as a sound that it makes. This is basically Sapphire Rings, Stellar Amulets are for chancing bases. Then we have Breach Rings, item level 82, and we also have the attuned ones and the siphoning ones, level 81 plus, because they sell for like 15 to 20 exalts in bulk, so it's definitely worth picking those up. Soul Cores, I basically have removed all the like runes, because in my opinion, runes are so cheap, like it shouldn't be a problem. But Soul Cores, also like the different kind of tierings. Gems, I've only shown level 20 Spirit Gems and Skill Gems, just because these are the big money. They are like 130 exalts or something for the Skill Gem, and the Spirit Gem is still like, I think, 4 or 5 divines worth. And the level 19 ones, they are completely worthless. Once you start going into higher tiers, you're gonna have a bunch of them on your stash. You're not really selling those, right? Same as like support gems. If you want to enable something, you just click on this and it's enabled. You just reload your filter, and that's about it. Then gold, I disabled everything, just because, you know, gold is completely irrelevant. I just recently made a gambling video with like spending 25 million gold, and I'm back to like 14 million gold. The thing with gold though is, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And when you run over it, even though it's not shown, you're still gonna pick it up, right? So I think it's just like visual cluttering if we have gold enabled, and it's such a useless state of like any form of currency that you never need, right? And even though I have it completely disabled, I still have 14 million gold just because of these things. Here again, Breach Rings, item level 82, and the siphoning ones and attuned ones, item level 81 plus. When it comes to the armor bases, so there is actually a quite decent take to hide all the hybrid evasion, ES, and armor, like these hybrid bases, because pure armor, pure evasion, and pure energy shield are the ones that are actually selling. And I can tell you a story about that, because I'm having a shit ton of these kind of like items laying around, and I know what kind of items are selling. So you could technically just hide those if you want to, but I left it in for now, because I still sometimes sell a hybrid base for like a divine or so. But the big items are usually flat items. Good. All the rare items are enabled that are high tier. So there is a different tiering over here. We show it here on armor basically. T1 and T2 are basically your expert bases, and some of them are advanced. So this is like all the body armors with like we say the best ones available for energy shield. Then you have like for ES and armor, and Neversink made basically a tiering. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna show T1 and T2, which is basically all the expert bases or the very high advanced bases, and I'm hiding all the rest, because realistically, and this is not a solo cell phone filter, it's made for trade, like finding stitched gloves with good modifiers is still like a very bad base. So I want to see the valuable bases that have high tier modifiers that can sell for quite a lot, and not like these like trash T4 advanced or not any kind of like title rare items. But as I say again, you can change it the way you want. I disabled all the flasks and charms because I don't feel there is any need for that. Waystones, the tiering, we have like the white maps, the yellow maps with the different beams, but I decided to disable all of those, because honestly, once you start endgame mapping, you know, you have so many tier 15 and tier 16 maps. I mean, this comes from Arbiter, but the amount of tier 15 maps that I have, just like from today's mapping, right? If we just check for map, these are all tier 50 maps. I don't show any other map tier, and I just have like another like 50, 60, 70 maps just like that. There is special waystones. They are kind of like purple-ish when it has like Delirium enchanted with 7 modifiers, but they also only show at T15 plus, so no big cluttering over here. Every map that drops, you know, it is used for something. Campaign gear is whatever, flasks here as well, and the salvageable items. I mean, a lot of people are actually asking me to enable that just because of whetstones and etchers and stuff like that, but they are also currency items that are just dropping, that are on my loot filter, and just by randomly mapping, I have like 200 armor scraps, 100 blacksmith, I have 49 artificer's orbs, and so on and so forth. So I don't see the point of actually salvaging right now. This might be something for solo self found, but for me here, completely pointless. And then we have like jewels. I think I'm gonna change this a little bit. Maybe it's just gonna add a border. I actually gonna do this right away, just because when there is so many yellow items dropping, as you just saw in these like insanely high quantity rarity maps, jewels you always want to pick up, right? No matter if there is no tier 1, tier 2, because jewels only have one mod, but you just want to pick those up because they can go for a lot of currency. But when there's like high quantity maps, you sometimes have like 30, 40 rare items on one screen, so it's kind of like hard to see those jewels. So either I just give them a border so they just light out a little bit more, or I'm gonna give them all like a different coloring once they are like just jewels, basically, right? Maybe just as like red style, so I know it's worth picking up. And then there's like some other things like relics or something that needs to be further tested, but they have a tiering, they have basically a coloring, so they should work. Please report if something is not working. And this on the very bottom here, this like pink thing is like arrow essences, arrow emotions. So whenever this will pop up, and this is like a good thing, if you let's say you see an item that you want to know where it comes from, you just hit Control C to copy this item, and then you basically go to simulate, import item, and then you Control V over here, and it shows you. Then you can go find in customizer, and then it shows you where this item is located. So what I would basically do when something is not working and this one drops, I just put it in a simulator, import the file, and then I can find in the customizer and see already what rule applies, and so on and so forth. But yeah, this is basically my current state of the art on the loot filter. Just like a little bit of a visual bug, because this one has actually no border. But I'm super happy that this one finally works, and as soon as I hit now here, save and export, it basically saves, and now it's updated. So as soon as I hit the filter reload, then it's already working. No need to like download any text files and import and stuff like that. Alright guys, I hope you guys appreciate my work that I've done here, and this will be updated every single day to make it a good, my opinion, a very, very good loot filter in the end of the day. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.